training. That is how VET or TVET is known in Hong Kong. Our operational context, we are self-financing. We offer predominantly 2-year post-secondary higher diplomas that are equivalent to the first 2 years of a bachelor's degree. And a great many of our programs are vocationally oriented programs. Our campus environment, we are an urban school, commuting school located on 2 sites plus other teaching venues. On the size of our student body, we are roughly serving 2,400 full-time students. They are studying in various sub-degree programs, students coming from mainland China, from Hong Kong, mainland China, and other nationalities as well that are residing locally. So this is a snapshot of our campus and facilities. As you may well know, Hong Kong is a very cramped place, but we try to maximize on our floor spaces. These are the range of programs offered. There are diploma programs in specialized areas like nursing services, early childhood, different areas of higher diplomas. A great many are vocational professional education and training, as I mentioned a while ago. Okay. So the various nationalities studying in our school, there are 8 of those. Most are what we call ethnic minorities. They have been living in Hong Kong for quite some time, so they're part of our community. And then also from mainland China, we have students coming from roughly 16 to 17 provinces every year. So from as far north as Heilongjiang to southwestern part like Yunnan provinces. So what is the total learning experience and why do we introduce total learning experience? The major purpose is to differentiate our programs from other providers in Hong Kong. So we hope that our programs could be different from other providers in terms of the educational experience that students receive from us. It's also having to do with the limited campus space and campus life that students enjoy. We hope that students can get value for the fees that they pay, and they can also get to add value to their learning. Traditionally, we think of education as the students being taught in classrooms, in workshops, in lab spaces, but it actually includes the administrative services apart from the academic aspects. And so there needs to be a rich variety of co- and extracurricular learning experience to accompany it. Now, in order to deliver the total learning experience, we do require the elements of having a framework, we need dedicated resources, and we also need supervision. So for that purpose, in my school, we have established a student learning experience committee to monitor the implementation and to follow up on how much is achieved every year. Okay. Now this is a diagram to roughly show how the total learning experience is realized. So it's like a 2-wheel process. On the right-hand side are all the administrative services and student support services. On the left-hand side, the teaching and learning, which we traditionally think of it as a curriculum. So for the curriculum, you have a formal curriculum, you have the co-curriculum, and you have the extra curriculum. Okay. Now, because of the COVID-19 intermission, some of the original design initiatives have to be toned down a little bit. So you would see some of the minor revisions to our original plan. So the concept is to have these 2 things, the administrative and support services side, and also the teaching and learning delivery go hand in hand together to deliver what is desirable to achieve the best learning experience for students. Why is there a need for total learning experience? Now, borrowing from the experience of colleagues in other countries, like, for example, in the United Kingdom, there was a report from their further education sector talking about transforming learning cultures. It reminded us of the need to put a stress on the learning environment. So that would be constituted by the students studying in our programs, the curriculum, the resources, the broad aspects of college policy, and the overall FE framework. So there's a lot of things going into delivering a quality education for students. And then in the American college, community college sector, there's a report coming out from the National Institute for Learning Outcomes Assessment. My reading of their conclusion is that, I mean, programs in the main are very similar. So it's very hard to pinpoint what specific learning outcomes are specific to which particular program. Okay, so in order to really create something that is unique, is to have every school having its uniqueness, not in the formal curriculum, but rather in the extra curriculum and in the co-curriculum. Now, nearer home, we have something from Malaysia as well, the Universitas Kebangsaan Malaysia. They define the total learning experience as consisting of 7 aspects, like the library, the college, the faculties, the arts, the co-curricular activities, sports, and community. Now, community as an element comes in is very important. So we take note of these experiences from other schools, from other places, weaving them into our own conception and practice of total learning experience. So to put it simply is that we put the total learning experience concept into our courses, into our teaching, and to produce what we call the extra and co-curricular activities, which I will show some examples later on in my slides. So what are some of the TLE activities conducted in my school? So there's a wide range of activities as shown here. Student societies, they're very important. As I mentioned a while ago, we are a small school, we have limited campus space, but we want to give the very best to our students. So the thing that we need to do is to have vibrant student societies. Currently we have 5. In addition to that, we are forming 2 more. So there will be 7 at the end of this academic year. So it encompasses the sports, the performing arts, sciences, learning, and other aspects, and culture as well. And we have a range of guest speakers coming in to deliver guest lectures. Like, for example, we have a lecture series in science and technology to update about latest happenings. Climate crisis is quite very much the talk of the town these days. Last year, we had a series talking about climate, talking about citizen scientists, talking about smart living, science and technology, and its relevance to everyday life. And because of the pandemic, we're very concerned about the emotional wellness of our students. So we have emotional wellness workshops. And then we used to have a lot of exchanges overseas. Now, because traveling has basically been stopped by the pandemic. So what we did was we have virtual exchange with overseas, like various prefectures in Japan. So every month, instead of physically traveling to Japan, bringing the students there, we have their tourist authorities running virtual traveling workshops wherein the students can experience the local sites, the local sceneries of various prefectures in Japan. This is very much welcomed. And also virtual cultural tours, like shown here. This is for a Japanese tea ceremony. We have a master in tea ceremony from Kyoto doing this virtually. And then we have student hosted fairs. This one is for a mini education carnival, where in the early childhood education students, every year they host a carnival for parents and children. And then we have projects funded by external parties like the government. This one is for a broadcast program funded by Radio Television Hong Kong. It has various groups of students participating, in particular the ethnic minority students. And then we have virtual exchanges with various colleges from around the region. This one shown here is a virtual exchange with Sichuan Changjiang Vocational College, which has been a partner with us for many years. Our students in early childhood education and their students in preschool education had very good exchanges online. And then to serve our ethnic minority students, we have language and cultural workshops for them to get them accustomed to local culture. They may be here for many, many years, but they may not know the local culture. Okay, so these workshops help them to understand the local setting. And then we have our English speaking teacher who's come up with various kinds of workshops to help the students brush up their English abilities. And as usual, with many places, you have the student counselors activities. So with all these activities, what are the learning outcomes achieved by the total learning experience? I mentioned a while ago that there are many, many activities going on, but one of our signature activities is called 3I initiative. So what is 3I? 3I stands for three things: internationalization in place, intercultural awareness, and inclusiveness. Now, to realize this, we have formed a dedicated 3I student society. And then we have appointed an activities coordinator who is the head of extracurricular learning. We have designated funds allocated to run activities. We have defined the learning outcomes. And at the conclusion of the activities, we gather the students for a focus group interview to hear from them, to see how they think about the activities, whether they have learned something out of it. Okay. So just to give an example, like for example, internationalization in place. What is the strategy? We try to draw on the strength of the local community. Like, for example, we have different foreign community groups residing in Hong Kong. So they will be invited to come into our school to co-host activities for our students. And there are two possible outcomes that can come out of it. Like in terms of skills gain, the English language competency of students will be raised. In terms of attitude change, the readiness of students to interact with foreigners will be enhanced. In relation to, this one is an example that we had with the French community coming in to talk about the French culture and different regions in France. In terms of intercultural awareness for business, strategies, foreign business groups like chambers of commerce or business people who have commercial dealings with Hong Kong, from our major trading partners, they will be invited to come in and give talks to students. So the possible knowledge gain is that students will understand the importance of trade activities that Hong Kong has with major trading economies, like for example, the ASEAN or the European Union. And then students will understand foreign cultural norms, business customs, and trade practices. So this is an example of learning about business etiquettes for intercultural awareness. Raising inclusiveness. Speaking about the ethnic minority communities in Hong Kong, we try to enhance our contact with them. We invite them to come into our schools to co-host activities relating to the ethnic minorities' customs and culture. So possible knowledge gain out of this is an understanding of the ethnic minorities' cultural tradition and social practices, so that students will be better prepared for multicultural living. And the same we do with our students coming in from various provinces in mainland China. We try to ask them to talk about the topics of interest relating to their hometown. It could be food, it could be places of interest, so that the interactions with mainland students from our local students will be increased as a result. So where does the TLE, the total learning experience, lead us to? So I've been talking about students. What about staff? Do staff gain anything out of this? We think there are two possible impacts, and there's one measurable outcome. Two positive impacts is in terms of the growth of academic staff. It improves on collegiality. It brings to Li Pei's a holistic growth. So incorporated in these is the concept of teacher leadership, because they have to plan a lot of activities. We take the design of student learning and instruction, teaching, assessment as serious businesses. They form part of professional reflection and study into one's own practice. Now, this realizes the concept of action research. So one measurable outcome that comes out of this is that academic staff will be able to externalize and share their teaching practice experiences with colleagues in other places through conferences and publishing in professional journals. So this realizes the concept of scholarship of teaching and learning. Now, how do we do scholarship of teaching and learning in our school? So these are three steps with integration of good teaching practices with theories, evaluation for continuous improvement, and then sharing of integrated good practices with other educators overseas. So here are some of the specializations or the areas of interest the colleagues in my school have interest in. It's quite a wide range of areas in relation to vocational education. We have tourism and hospitality English. We have content language integrated learning, STEAM education as well. These are some of the examples of my colleagues having produced videos that went into the Times Higher Education campus. This is a site wherein educators from around the world can contribute their experience by writing and producing videos that can be shared online. Okay, and because we have also been admitted as a member of the WFCP, from time to time, I also write short pieces that get published in the newsletter dispatch of the WFCP, which is a very good venue for experience sharing. And of all the things that I have spoken about, it's very hard to realize if we do not have a vast network of partners around the world. So our school's activities depend on robust exchanges with outside parties. So these are our overseas partners. And of course, we're very delighted to work with Shanxi Polytechnic University, which we have signed MOU a few months ago on the 15th of March. Okay. And we are also institutional member of a wide range of professional bodies in China, in Hong Kong, and around the world. Okay. So that's sort of a synopsis about our experience in relation to delivering the total learning experience. I very much look forward to further exchanges with VET colleagues in mainland China and the Asia Pacific region. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present our experience. Thank you.
谢谢中德元院长的精彩报告。下面我们有请俄罗斯普拉迪沃斯托